Run it back.
Hello.
Hey, what's
Hello,
up,
everyone. It's funny because you're listening to this a week apart, but we just had 3 seconds in between these two.
Ha, ha.
Made you wait.
I did, honestly, this is bad timing, but I did have a story that I wanted to share that I kind of told Lara recently. Recently, I've been really into birth. Like,
Oh yeah, sorry for not
baby.
responding
She's
to your
a-
text today, Ken.
She's a birth
No,
girl.
that's okay.
She's
I'm
a
a
birth
birth girl, yeah. And I'm like finding myself in more communities that are talking about birth. And I saw someone repost this like graphic and they basically were like, sorry, do we need to introduce again before we get going?
This is Fuck Wellness. Hello. Okay.
Hello, I'm Makena.
Keep going.
All right. Anyways, I saw this person repost this image and it's like a graphic, and the graphic was saying essentially to asking medical professionals not to use the term birthing person unless someone requested it, because like womanhood and mother were like so tied to like their identity and the process, and like they felt as though they had earned that right to be primarily called a woman and a mother before being called like a birthing person.
Then you
And
request that.
exactly, it just was like
Then it's
such
birthing
a
person first, and then you request to be a
yeah.
mother, and then that happens.
It's just like
Congrats.
such a weird thing of like I'm so tied to my identity in that way that it's like, I don't know, like I guess in my head it doesn't matter, and like you can I feel like there's this thing of like, oh well, you're taking away womanhood, like you're taking away women, you know what I mean? It's like, no, that's not what's happening actually. Like take a step back. So anyways, it's just like an interesting
Outside of just the gender stuff though, like it could be a surrogate. It could be
yeah,
a person who knows if they want to put up like the child for adoption. Like
yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like birthing person just like also neutralizes any like moral or like
Mhm.
ethical feelings that like language does, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you could still identify as a woman and still not feel like a mother is the term you would like to be called.
Right.
Sure.
And in those conversations, I'm like, where is this happening? Like, at what hospital are you at that they're coming up and saying, and who's the birthing person? Like, when is that happening in conversation? Like, that's happening in conversation before and after birth. You know, like, I don't know. It's just like, let's chill out a little bit.
You mean you don't think that medical professionals use that language?
No.
Do they? I don't know. I hope. I mean, I'd like if they did.
I mean, I think that they, I mean, hopefully could, but like, my point in that is being like, when is that conversation happening? You know, it's not like
where they're directing, oh, are you the birthing person? Like right at you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's also, I feel like maybe, well, how do they do forms? Like, do they have, you know, I'm thinking like,
I don't know.
I can see it more likely a form being the birthing person, you know, than hello, birthing person. Nice to meet you, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that's what happens.
Well, what happened when you had Douglas? You would know.
They call me mom.
He said mama.
No, but actually this is a real thing that like really threw me for a loop for like a long time, is like anytime I go to the vet, they're like, okay, mom, like
whoa.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, what? Like,
excuse me, I'm the birthing person. Don't say that to me.
Yeah, I think you need to request that, Makena.
There are just like sometimes where it's like such like a, are you talking to me? Like,
yeah,
I'm 25.
I'm 26. I'm not old enough to be a mother.
You think I'm a mother? But then I'm like, yeah, I am fully in charge of his care. Like,
yeah, you're responsible for a living thing right now.
Girl, I know it. I'm well aware.
Girl, I know it. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I think that like that is the whole like, I do not take my womanhood away from me. It's like no one was trying to. You need to relax.
Yeah, entirely.
And on that note, welcome to the podcast. Yeah. My name is Mallory.
And I'm Lara.
And I'm Makena.
And we're so happy you're here.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
I think we should go through some life updates. How are we feeling about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hot off therapy, so I feel like I want to start.
Yeah, I would love for you to start, Mel.
Okay, I feel like the main thing that I want to talk about is the newsletter that I wrote that will have come out a few weeks ago, but we will still link it in the description for you to read. But well, first of all, I've been like really emotional reading everyone's responses to it, and it's made me feel, I guess, a lot better that I'm not like the only person that is preoccupied thinking about these things. But for some background, also I recommend reading it if you want more detail, because I'm going to give the quick and dirty version. I've been feeling really conflicted about like the traditions in a wedding and feeling like kind of two different things. I'm a contrarian who likes to be unique and likes to have different like things than other people. Why I chose the bassoon in middle school is because no one else chose it and I wanted to be the only one. And I feel like I'm like that in general, where it's like if everyone likes one thing, I'm gonna like the other thing. You know, when I was in elementary school, I would just tell everyone I didn't believe in God because I just wanted to see their reaction because everyone else was obsessed with God.
We had one of those in elementary school.
Yeah, it was me. I mean, I was the one. You know, I'd be like, God's like Superman. I mean, you all should just really like get over it.
Did you also walk around telling people that Santa wasn't real?
Yes.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Anyway, this is all to say, I think there's like three parts to me. One is this contrarian, like wanting a wedding that's not cookie cutter, wanting to be really unique, wanting people to come to the wedding and be like, wow, this is so like unusual and non-traditional. And then there's like the feminist part of me that's like really uncomfortable with the institution of marriage, really uncomfortable with walking down the aisle, wearing a white dress, like having like all the history of weddings, etc. That I think is like really preoccupied with what people will think about the wedding and wanting like it to represent my like woke social justice warrior side of myself, like wanting that wedding to be representative of like what I feel like is a part of my identity. And then the third being like, I'm just a person. Like I don't have to be so worried about, you know, what everyone thinks about this wedding, and wanting some parts of me wanting to reclaim like the traditional aspects and make them my own. Like, who's to say I won't like wearing a white dress? Maybe I'll fucking love wearing a white dress. Like, I don't know. But I feel like I'm putting so much pressure on myself to be this like perfect trailblazer. And like, I want my wedding to just smash everything, that I'm just getting really caught up in like what that looks like. And then also the piece of this wedding is not just about me. Like, I have a partner who has very different views on what he wants out of a wedding. And this wedding can never be everything that I want, because I believe in compromise and we're a partnership, and I don't want the day to be only about me. Like, that doesn't align with me at all. So I feel like I'm just in this weird place where I feel like I've been ruminating a lot on the meaning of a wedding, like who I am as a person and how those pieces like fit into a 6-hour event that I'm spending quite a lot of money on. So, yeah.
I think it's, yeah, because it's, you are that person and you're like the disruptor, but you can also just like, if you wanted to, you could also have a wedding that, if it was traditional in every sense of a wedding ever being, wouldn't necessarily have to take away from your identity of being a social justice warrior, badass, whatever, you know?
And like, I know that too. And like, I've been to 3 weddings in the last year and a half, and all of my friends are feminists, that like all the women that were getting married, and like their weddings were all like, you know, relatively like timeline wise traditional. And so like, I know that there's no correlation between like my identity and a wedding, like being a feminist wedding, being like a liberal wedding, whatever. But it feels like those are so correlated that it feels really hard for me to let that go.
Yeah. Especially when weddings in general, when you're speaking about a traditional wedding, it is has super antiquated traditions and very gendered roles and whatever.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like you're saying have like a badass picnic. Like that has no, you know, that could look like whatever. But
though that sounds really nice. I actually would
we're actually
love
canceling
that.
the wedding. We're having a picnic.
I like don't hate that idea.
But I also like, and it kind of sucks that this is the reality, kind of is super cool that this is the reality, but like the wedding's about you and Ryan. It's also about so many more people than that.
Yeah.
It's about your whole family, his whole family, everyone coming together. Like, it's unfortunately not just about what you
It's about
think.
us, Lara.
It's actually mostly about me. I hope that you know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why, you know, when I first was like, I just want to have a dry wedding, Ryan was like, we actually can't. And I was like, but it's just like, I'm not going to drink at my wedding. So like, why would I pay for alcohol for everyone else? And he's like, because this wedding is not about us. I'm like, fuck. But it does feel, I was talking to my mom about this. Like, it does feel ridiculous spending like $35,000 on a day that's like not your perfect day. But that's just like such a weird, it's a weird concept to me.
Yeah, thank you for crossing this bridge before we have to cross this bridge, I will say.
Yeah, I'm really yeah.
I don't think that I would handle that very well.
Yeah. Although I feel like, I don't know. I feel like you both will like do it in your own way. I feel like you both are thoughtful in the same way that I am, but I almost feel like you are going to ruminate a lot less on this aspect than I am. I mean, like, honestly, reading it to Ryan was like, no one else is thinking about this. It's like, and I was like, okay, well, that's just not very nice to say. Well, people are.
And I think that, I mean, I don't know. I think that people who take a moment to slow down and be like, why does it feel a little bit weird when the dad walk someone down the aisle? Like, why does that feel a little bit icky? Like, to me, maybe it doesn't, maybe you love it, but I think that that's like something that if you're kind of introspective in that way, like you're thinking about like, hey, what is the history of this or this or this? And do I want to do it? And is it representative of my and Ryan's relationship? Those sorts of things.
Yeah. It's weird. Like the whole walking down the aisle thing. Just, it feels icky to me, the idea of walking down an aisle. Honestly, not just because it's antiquated, but also like, I don't want everyone to just stare at me. Like, even when I was a bridesmaid and I had to aisle, I was like, please stop. Like, please stop.
Everyone close your eyes.
Yeah. And so I think it's things like that where I'm like, well, this isn't aligned with like my values, but it's also just like not something I really enjoy that much. But Ryan doesn't like my just pop up on stage idea.
You come down from like underneath the stage.
There's a burst of
crawl
smoke.
down the trees nearby. We've climbed up into them. So
no, I mean,
anyway,
Mal, to be honest, like before you started like wedding planning, I haven't been to very many weddings in my life. And when I think about my own wedding, it is not a traditional wedding at all. And so I think yours is like an interesting time to be like, okay, like you are making me think about things in a different way as well of like, what would I want? And it really hasn't changed that much from what I originally thought, but there's always this narrative of like, every girl dreams about their wedding day. And I could like care less about my wedding day. Like I dream about the house that I'm going to own every day.
Yeah.
My wedding day. No.
I feel like it's been so interesting because I went into this, well, first of all, not really wanting a wedding at all, but like, you know, accepting that, okay, dynamics wise, I'm going to have a wedding. And being like, okay, I want a non-traditional wedding, but then actually getting in the moment and being like, well, what traditions do I throw out? Like, which ones do I keep? Which ones do I reclaim? Like, there are so many. Even we were talking about this on the pod. I was talking to my therapist about it. It's like, even things like, well, now kiss the bride. You may now kiss the bride. And it's like, well, fuck, now I have to remember to tell Meredith that I actually wanted to be like, now we can kiss each other. Like all this stuff that there's so many layers and so many traditions to a 6-hour fucking like thing that it's almost like, well, I want it to be non-traditional, but I'm so worried that I'll get there the day of and I'll forget to smash some traditions. and it's like, it's like such an irrational fear, but it's like, well, I forgot that like I'm standing on the left side still and I meant to switch to the right side. You know, it's like, I'm so nervous about the stupidest things.
Oh,
Oh my
Mal, that's
God,
why
Mal.
Lara and I are wedding facilitators and planners. Not
Yeah,
really, but
yeah.
like,
there will be not a Norman sight.
yeah,
Not a Norman
not
sight.
one.
That's really comforting. Thank you.
Yeah, that would literally be impossible to do, but I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah. Understood.
Anyone who's like, we're like the police at the party. Like anyone,
Yeah.
like
If someone tries to
just-
like sit on a specific side because they're like friends of you or Ryan, we're like,
I don't even
get
get
out.
that.
Get out. You're
excuse
not
me,
allowed
can
here.
you stand up?
Leave.
Yeah, I mean that's
We
why I
say
like
from-
the idea of a panel discussion so that everyone's part of the audience, you know?
Yeah,
during the
Laura and I
ceremony.
are gonna stand up there and we're gonna say
We have like
you.
Secret Service. Like, Secret Service mics. Row 3A,
All
row
black.
3A. Go in.
That actually sounds so funny and I really
Code
like that.
black.
No,
A
I said
code
wearing
black.
all black.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you know,
wearing
the
all
Secret
black.
Service agent.
Yeah. Screw
I
our
have been-
dresses.
Black.
Yeah, screw our dresses. We're wearing suits.
No, Laura.
Yeah.
Sorry, just an idea here.
Yeah.
Should we wear dresses and like a jacket? Like a nice jacket. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like a suit jacket.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
like
yeah,
that.
we can talk.
Yeah, Mal, is
I-
that okay?
I told you both I do not care what you wear. If you showed up in overalls and a turtleneck, Ken, I would honestly be cheering you on. So my dad was like, "What do I wear?" And I was like, something comfortable. I
Yeah,
don't know.
be
I don't
comfortable.
care.
I was trying to think about because I've not like been a guest at too many weddings, but I've been to a lot of weddings, being that I
Yeah.
used to work at a wedding venue. And I think that luckily when I worked at a wedding venue, it was always after the ceremony that my job would start. So I would never, be at the ceremony site listening to people's vows and stuff, because I think that's where like a lot of that kind of like, I'm giving my bride or I'm giving my daughter away kind of like language
Yeah.
comes in. But I think that I will say the biggest pet peeve I had for like after the ceremony stuff is I hated when MCs would, and this is like just for the straight weddings when this would happen, but when the MC would like do the double door entrance and it'd be like the first, the grand entrance of like the happy couple or whatever, and the MC would say Mr. and Mrs. John Doe,
Mhm.
like where it's like
I mean,
Mr.
in
and
no
Mrs.
world will that happen.
No, I know, obviously not. But I was saying like that would be
Yeah.
that was always my biggest pet peeve. It's like it's
Oh,
now Mr. and Mrs. His first name, his last name.
Ugh.
It's not even just about the last name now, it's about the first name. I'm like,
No.
can we think about that or not? Do we
I'm
not want to?
0% okay with that.
Well, now that we're doing all this wedding planning, I am on like wedding TikTok, and
yeah.
there was like two things I saw. One was cool, one was atrocious. One I saw in a heterosexual wedding, both of the people wearing suits. Hot.
I mean, I might kind of do that.
Like a white
Yeah.
suit.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
But
She
about
wore
wearing
a white
pantsuit.
suit. She
Yeah,
wore a white suit. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It was really cool. And then do you have opinions on that, Lara? I feel like you kind of just were like,
Oh my God, imagine like a dark green suit.
I think that's really, really hot. I think that my brain gets a little bit worried where it's like that does read as kind of queer, and there's a lot of things of like straight people kind of taking maybe like
yeah,
things that might read as queer, but I think that it could be done in a really cool way.
I don't know. Anthropology now has a lot of like pantsuit like things.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense though.
mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, Ken?
Yeah, I really fully hear that, but I also think that it's like, one, we have no idea I mean, Mal specifically, maybe we know, but like the couple that I saw, we have no idea what her identity is, you know?
And
So I
even
think
now
that,
we don't know.
true.
We don't know this
Yeah.
person.
No.
Yeah.
Hardly.
Yeah. No, not really at all.
Yeah. And I think also in my head, sometimes when I hear, like when I think about women wearing suits, I'm drawn to like, I don't know exactly what time frame it would be, like maybe like the 70s, 80s, where I feel like that like pantsuit was like such a strong, like, I'm wearing a pantsuit.
Yeah, it
you
was
know?
the reclaiming because
Yeah.
women used to always have to wear dresses.
You weren't
Mhm.
allowed to wear
And
pants.
yeah, and I really love the reclaiming of pants, which is one reason
Yeah.
I really like the jumpsuit too, is like I'm just more
Yeah.
comfortable in pants.
I'm into the jumpsuit idea for sure.
Mal, do you have any? Also, I don't know when your dress fitting is. I need an update on that for when your dress shopping day is. But you know how people will sometimes have like a dancing outfit and then a ceremony outfit?
Yes.
Are you into
I
that?
will have that for sure.
For sure.
And they're both going to be jumpsuit.
Yeah. Jumpsuit 1 and jumpsuit 2.
Yeah, one's going to be green, one's going to be blue.
Cute. Okay, what was your other TikTok, Ken?
Oh, it was this video of a ceremony and the officiant
Sure.
went completely off script and like an extreme misogynist religious like thing, and you can see like the couple staring at each other being like, what is happening? And it was so cringy, and it was just like, I was just thinking about like, that's the moment you're getting married. Like I honestly might be like, pause.
Oh my
Like,
God.
what do you do? Do you suffer through it, or and then just get married, and then that's your forever memory of your ceremony?
I feel
That's
like I'd
scary.
definitely start making some faces so that people in the crowd would know that this is not what I asked
Not what
them
we
to say.
chose. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Totally.
Oh, that is so scary.
That's so awkward.
That is definitely like, I think that I really appreciate when officiants are like people that the couple knows, because you can tell when they don't know the couple.
You can totally tell.
Like I've been to a wedding before where the officiant said the wrong 2 names in the speech, and everyone was like, "What?"
I don't think I've ever been to a wedding where the officiant wasn't someone that the couple.
Well, because sometimes
knew.
it's just like
a pastor.
They're
a
the pastor at my
reverend.
church,
Yeah.
or they're the whatever person at
but
my
I don't
church,
think I've ever
or
been to one of those.
that my parents know. I don't know. Oof.
I remember one of the venues I really liked in LA. It was like a glass chapel, basically. I don't remember if you guys remember me showing it to you, but they wouldn't let you have your own officiant. You had to use theirs. And I remember that being like a huge reason. I was like, no, because it was, you didn't have to make it religious. Like it didn't have to be a religious ceremony, but you did have to use like their priest or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, my fear would be the off script. Like I tell them not to be religious, and then they're like, "You will now be obedient to your husband forever,
under God, forever and ever." Yeah.
You're like, no,
you will respect your husband as the head of the household.
Yeah, no. Okay, that was my therapy session. So thank you for listening.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Lara, do you have any updates? I think
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I think the wedding is going to be great.
There'll be something. Yeah.
Mal, let me just tell you this right now. I'm planning a little surprise in my brain.
I'm planning a surprise too.
It's not for the wedding, but it'll just be us 3.
Do I know what the surprise is?
Yeah, I told you about it.
Okay,
you both know how much I love surprises, so this is great.
There are numerous surprises in store, so you're just going to have to buckle up for that.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to buckle up, bear down,
I'm gonna have to double my anxiety medicine in the month before this.
Yeah, get on something stronger.
Yeah, Cymbalta, you got to come in hot here.
Okay, Lara, any quick updates? I know we only have a few more minutes.
Yeah, I don't have very many updates. I did get a facial yesterday, which was incredible. Like, I just love physical touch so much. Sometimes it makes me want to cry. And like, I was just like really craving some touch. And I went in and I took off my mask, and she was looking at my face. She was like, "Oh, you have really good skin. Like, why are you in for a facial?" And I was kind of like, "I would just like you to touch my face." Like, didn't we just get this going? You don't need to ask me questions. But
Also,
then she
people
did,
with good skin get facials all the time. That's a weird
right.
thing to say.
I agree, but I think I realized later because she shined the huge light on my face and she was like, "Oh, I do see 3 blackheads. Do you mind if I get those?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So I could tell in her excitement that I think she was a little disappointed when she first saw my face, but then she was like, "Oh, you do have blackheads. It's okay. This is going to be like exciting for me." I think that's why she was in the biz, which I respect. Like, do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, get your bag, but it was just funny. But yeah, super fun. I want to get them like every day now, but I would never be able to do that financially. But that was great. I've been working a lot. I'm transitioning to nights again, which always a fun time for my body and mind when I switch around my schedule.
By the time this
Um,
comes out, you'll have turned 26.
oh my God. True, because we're at the beginning of December. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
I'm now officially 26 years old. I'm in my late 20s
By the time
and
this
I'm
comes out,
feeling
I'll
it.
have also turned 26.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This comes out
Yeah.
December. Oh,
7th.
you're right.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
we've got a whole bunch of late 20-year-olds on this pod.
I'm like really late 20s, but
Not
I
really.
mean, we're the
you're like
same amount
only,
of late.
only a year older than me. Well, I'm 27.
We are now both in the second half of 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Whoa.
3 days.
Okay.
That's honestly like that's my update. My parents are coming to visit me for Thanksgiving. I'm super excited about
And
that.
me visiting me.
And they're visiting McKenna,
Thank you.
and mostly they're visiting Douglas because
Yeah.
they've never met
Yeah.
Douglas before.
Yeah.
I think they're going to like Douglas a lot.
Yeah, he
Oh,
probably
I'm
doesn't
worried
express
about it.
behavior.
Yeah.
No, I feel like they'll be good.
Oh yeah, I can see right now my dad's gonna fully just like get on the floor with Douglas and have a good time romping around.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Fun.
Ken?
No huge updates. I have been extraordinarily anxious the past few weeks, so that has been quite a challenge. Dealing with a lot of like boundary stuff. I'm just not setting my boundaries, and I don't think that they're really being respected, and so it's making it a little bit hard to
In what
just
environment are they not being respected?
work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's been like numerous examples of like me saying, I will do this if with this in mind. And I feel like it's like, yeah, of course. And then 2 months later, it's like, we forgot that you said
Yeah.
that. So you're going to do this forever, right? And I'm like, no, I can't do this forever. And so I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about that. Honestly, just my life. Every time like a transitionary, like a job ends, like volleyball ends and new things kind of like start, I feel like I get a really anxious because I'm like, okay, well, now I have free time. What is my next move going to be? And now I'm kind of thinking of like, okay, well, I have this going until, you know, Mal's wedding. And then thinking, I was talking to Lara so much last night about how just like, I feel like I'm suffocating in so much of what I do because it's just like, I don't feel like there's an out. And the out is just me having to be like, I can't do this at all. Like, because they're not being respected. And I honestly, like, Lara was pretty firm. She's like, I don't think you can do this. Like, don't even give them an inch. But like, I don't think that I'm like strong enough right now to make that decision. And so I'm feeling just anxious about how that's going to play out. And then kind of thinking ahead, my life all of a sudden was like planned out through like April of next year. It was like, oh, I'm doing this weekend, and then there's all these things to do. And I just all of a sudden felt like I didn't have any time in my day, in my life to like be a person and do the things that I love. And it just makes me feel like I'm suffocating. And then on top of that, it's like, oh, am I going to leave Boulder? And if I'm going to leave Boulder, I'm going to have to move like July, you know? And so there's just like a lot of things that are on the docket.
I feel like we need to do another like transition month. Remember
Yeah.
our transition, like life
Yeah.
transitions? Because I
Yeah.
feel like we're all gonna be in some transitions
Oh,
Huge
huge
next
one.
year.
transition. Yeah.
Like actually maybe way bigger than our last time.
Like way bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even think about that quite yet. But there's like a special, I think, type of rage in my body that is reserved for when people are taking advantage of my friends, and I felt some of that last night. And I just literally like, if you see someone who's spread thin in their life, and then you think, oh, I need X, Y, and Z from them, I'll say like, I'm flexible with them now, like take an inch from you now, but slowly end up taking a mile from you. I'm like, there's some cool things coming from you if karma's a thing. Like it makes me
It's
so
really
mad.
disappointing. And it's like also I understand because other people are desperate might be the wrong word, but like needing support and needing help
Mm-hmm.
and needing people, which I'm like, I hear that. I like really do, but like it's unfortunately it can't be at my expense.
Yeah.
And not that I feel like any of them are like malicious in how that communication is happening. It's still like you're not respecting what I need here. Like except for my full-time job is the only place that I feel like that's being respected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah. So there's just a lot. And then I with turning 26, lose my parents' health insurance, of course. And so that's a new challenge. I'm not really feeling that stressed about it. I'm just kind of feeling like, of course, kind of feeling. And yeah, I'm just like, I'm really not into the anxiety right now because it's like, how long am I going to be like, oh, I can put this off. I can put this off. I can hustle, hustle, hustle and do all these jobs. And now it's like, I'm sick all the time. I feel like so much anxiety when my world pauses for a minute. And it's because like the things that are actually really important to me are lacking in my life and I'm not doing them. And that's a problem.
Have you thought about taking medication, McKenna?
I have taken medication before and it's not something that I am open to at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Because like
Quite a
the thing
pickle,
is
Ken.
like I know what will make me feel better. I
Yeah.
know what my symptoms are and like I really support medication like full stop, but like for me, I think that it's just kind of like a one, my body doesn't react well. I've tried a lot of different kinds and I'm just like horribly sick for like a long time and I'm not willing to be sick for 2 months to like have it start working. And then two, I think that like for me in my situation particularly, like I don't feel like I feel like it kind of masks some of the things that I need to make changes to. Um
Hmm.
instead of like actually just making those changes. Like I know what the problem is.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like for me, it just like gets me out of the hole a little bit. So I'm able to like prioritize the things that I need. But I think like everyone knows themselves. For me, it's been like it just takes the edge off the anxiety to like allow me to prioritize the
Yeah.
things I know I need to do anyway. Like I don't feel like it masks anything for me.
Yeah.
It just allows me to like do the things that I already know I want and need to do. But
I hear
I mean, I
that.
think if you've taken it before and know that it doesn't work, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. It's not so much that it doesn't work, it just makes me feel so sick. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, anything that I put in my body makes me like birth control makes me feel that way. Like
Yeah.
lots of things do. I mean, I self-medicate. Like a lot of things help that aren't maybe traditional medication. Douglas? No. He's trying to get in my trash, which is a new thing. That's lovely. Yeah, I mean, there's other things that help. So I think I'm okay with like using those for now until like, oh, that bit me hard. Yeah, I'm okay with like using those things for now until it doesn't work. Do not bite me anymore. That hurts.
Douglas.
He's biting me like hard.
Ugh. Why does he want your trash all of a sudden?
I know.
He was getting in there at night sometimes. I was like, what is in there? Paper?
I know.
Why do you want
Kleenex?
that?
He wants Kleenex. It's a brand new thing. All right. Yeah. On that light note.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the book club a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, also, I forgot to say, we can talk about this in another podcast, but like, I do think it's important to like bring up, and I feel comfortable talking about it, but like the OCD stuff, I think I want to talk about it at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Book club.
Talking about the book club now.
Yeah. Douglas
Book
is
club.
being just absolutely terrible. So I only have like a second.
That's fine. For context, we had a book club for those of you who maybe hadn't listened before, and we ran it, pretty much since we started, more or less. And it's like, it was really good, but we paused it because we kind of wanted to do some reinventing of it, just like knowing our own capacity and also trying to create a book club that the most amount of people could benefit from. So we are relaunching our Fuck Wellness book club, and there are a few components I want to highlight. The first is that we are going to meet every 2 months rather than every month. So before we met every month, but it honestly felt like a lot of pressure to read a book in a month. So we're going to give people a little bit more space to read those books. We'll pretty much just crowdsource every month or every like 2 months the books that we want to like have people vote on, so that everyone kind of gets to include books that they're interested in reading. So it'll be like a little bit more collaborative than it was before in terms of like book selection, and they won't necessarily like match a theme that we have on the podcast. It'll just match the vibes of the group. The book club won't be dedicated to like any certain genre, but hopefully we'll have a nice variety of different types of books and on different topics. If you can't come to a meeting, that's totally fine, but we would love you to come to as many as you possibly can. There'll only be 6 a year. And I guess the most important thing is that our book club is not going to be like quote unquote drop in anymore. We're going to have people sign up between December 1st and December 31st of 2022. And then we'll close the book club on like the first of the year to whoever has signed up for it within those dates. We just like the drop-in was really stressful for us because we never knew who was going to come, how many people. Like, I really like the idea of having like a consistent group that will like show up and have these conversations. So if that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, we would love to have you. We'll plan a meeting in January to select our first book that we'll read by February. And just like a reminder that the book club is free. Like, we're just doing it for fun because we like to have these conversations. And I think it's a good way to kind of broaden the conversations we have on the podcast to a larger group of people. So we will put the form for registering for the book club in the description. But like, if you just listen to that and you're like, oh, but they wouldn't want me to be in their book club, I can guarantee that we do want you to be in our book club, like truly anyone. So it's like pretty low commitment. We're only meeting 6 times a year. That's 6 books a year. So it's really like not a huge lift, and I think it will be fun. Anything else to add, Lara Makena?
New and improved 2023. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It'll be a good accountability for if reading more books is part of your goals.
True. Yeah.
Douglas knocked over my space heater, so that's squawking at him. I do feel bad about the medication thing, so I do also want to clarify that I've talked to my care team and my therapist about it, and she has also agreed that that's not like a best next step for me, although I think that she would support me if I decided that it was. So
Why do
It's
you
not
feel
just me,
bad?
please. No, because I don't want to. I like my biggest thing is like I don't like hating on meds. I think that
Oh,
medication
yeah.
is really helpful, and so I didn't want it to come across as like no, you know what I mean? I don't. It's just
It didn't come
important for
across
me.
like that at all.
No. And I mean, I think we all feel the same way about birth control, where it's like everyone just has different reactions. Like, I love my IUD, but other people have a terrible reaction to Mirena. So
Yeah.
I think it's just that's the case. Everyone has to know their body and like what
Yeah.
works for them.
Yeah.
So
My
yeah.
IUD is really great and works perfect.
Yeah,
for me.
it's going really well. You're not like getting surgery or anything.
No.
And now that psilocybin is decriminalized, it's like way more exciting. So
Let's go Colorado.
Yeah. All right.
Woo-hoo.
I got to go pick up Ryan from class.
wow,
Okay.
fun. Love you guys.
Love
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I wait, hold on. Whoops.